Majin Buu and Cell have been defeated, but our story's not over yet. As we enter Dragon Ball Super, what else is going to change? We'll be covering all that and more in the 7th part of What If Tien Was the Strongest. Tien visits the Sacred World of Kai's again because he thinks it could be beneficial for his training. Considering he's the Guardian of Earth and he helped stop the threat of Buu and Cell, Shin and Kibito are pretty open to it. He did pull the Z-Sword after all, and he kinda just kept it for himself. So, he visits this planet periodically and trains with the Z-Sword. But the Z-Sword doesn't really last too long. At some point it does end up breaking, and it frees Elder Kai from the sword. You could probably see where I'm going with this now. While there is no immediate threat, Elder Kai at some point does offer to do the ritual on him. Tien shows great promise, and it would be interesting to see how strong he grows. So, he agrees to it. He would rather work for the power, but he is kind of interested about the ritual. It might unlock something that he didn't even know was there. So he goes for it. And thus, we have the birth of Ultimate Tien. He doesn't look much different, but his strength is exceptional. Think of what happened with Gohan when he got Ultimate. With Tien also having hybrid potential, pretty much the same thing is happening here. His power vastly increases. But he's not just going to end there. He's going to keep training here on the Sacred World of Kai. While he's there, let's go back to Earth. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and everyone else continue their normal lives. Although something does change for Kami. First of all, Tien's off planet right now, and he's probably going to spend more time on the Sacred World of Kai. Which is fine, but Earth does need a guardian in the meantime, and Kami's fine covering for him here. He doesn't really have anything else to do after all. And this will ensure that Tien grows stronger, so it's a win-win. But Kami has been thinking. He doesn't really do much anymore. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does make him wonder if he could do more and help the group even more. And following the Buu saga, he kind of feels like he should be playing a more active role. He did enjoy living a peaceful life after giving Tien the position, but he'd rather use his power to help, especially because Piccolo's part of him now. That didn't really make him much stronger, but it does get him wondering, what if he wished for youth like King Piccolo planned to do? It wouldn't hurt, and if anything, it would be nice for him to have. Plus, whenever Tien's gone, he does need a strong person in his place. They've basically been working as Guardian jointly after all. So, Kami gets the Dragon Balls and makes a wish for himself. He wishes for eternal youth just like King Piccolo planned. Now that he's reformed as the Nameless Namekian, and he also has his youth back, his power greatly increases. Everyone else on Earth is pretty surprised that he did this. They didn't expect it. It's not like this makes him the strongest person in the group, not even close. But now he's actually a viable fighter. If he does end up deciding to fight, that is. It could be a good option, and he might even train himself here on the lookout. It's funny how his students rubbing off on him. More time passes. Eventually, Beerus wakes up. He still has the same dream. He's not dreaming about a superhuman god or whatever, it's still the Super Saiyan god. And around now, he expects to actually encounter that rival. So, he visits Earth pretty much around the same time. Thankfully, Earth does have some pretty strong Saiyans. Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. But none of them are godly. And after Beerus arrives, Kami does call Tien to come back to Earth, with Elder Kai also realizing that Beerus is awake and telling Tien he should go there. So, he teleports to Earth. Beerus is pretty intrigued to see a Triclops. Apparently, he's the strongest warrior on Earth right now, and he's been training under the Supreme Kai, so Beerus fights against Tien very briefly. At the moment, Tien is vastly above everyone else, but it's still not enough to make Beerus break a sweat, although it makes everyone else look a lot less impressive by comparison. Still though, he doesn't sense anything godly within him. Sure, he's Guardian of Earth, and he trained under the Supreme Kai, but it's not the godly rival he was looking for. It was something else, especially because he dreams specifically about a Super Saiyan god. Kami says it's probably best that they just ask Shenron, so that's exactly what they do, and they find out about the ritual to create a Super Saiyan god. Thankfully, they have pretty much the same crew here. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Videl are part of the ritual, with Goku being chosen as the one to become the Super Saiyan god. The ritual ends up working, and he fights Beerus. As a Super Saiyan god, he far surpasses Tien now. It's a very noticeable jump in power. Still, it isn't close to Beerus' full power, but hey, this'll do for a rival. This is what he was looking for. So, Beerus is pretty happy with the result, and he leaves Earth. He hopes to see them again though. He'll probably be back here especially for the food. And it gets Vegeta wondering, what could he do to impress Beerus? Or rather, Whis, because he finds out that Whis is his teacher. He's going to do anything in his power to impress Beerus once he comes back. Goku and Tien of course want to go there too. But Goku just thinks that Beerus is going to come back and bring him back regardless. And Tien's not really sure what's going to happen, so he goes back to the Sacred World of Kai. At some point, Whis does visit Earth, and Vegeta's able to impress him, particularly with food. He's able to bribe his way onto Beerus' planet, and he gets a little bit of a head start. Of course, Goku still did get the Super Saiyan God ritual first, but now Vegeta's actually getting some training from Whis beforehand. And they don't find out for a while. Goku finds out way later on like normal, and same for Tien. And the only reason he finds out is because he asked Elder Kai out of curiosity, wondering if he could ever go to Beerus' planet to train. And they reluctantly do contact Beerus and find out that Vegeta's there. And Tien's stuck here for now, which is fine. A little bit more time passes. The Frieza Force has been monitoring Earth. There isn't really much of the Frieza Force left, but still, there are some soldiers. The weirdest thing is that Ginyu still seems to be alive because they see Chaozu running around, not realizing that it's him and thinking it's Ginyu. So they've been desperately trying to contact him, but nothing's working. Although, they do know about the Dragon Balls now. After monitoring everyone for so long, they've seen the wish-granting properties of them. So they go after the Dragon Balls themselves, which eventually leads to them summoning Shenron and reviving Frieza. Frieza's got multiple people he wants to go after. The Triclops, the two Saiyans, whoever it is that stole Ginyu's body. Not that that's really personal, it's just really weird and off-putting to him. He deserves to die solely because of that. But he begins working, training himself to grow much stronger than before. And you know the drill. After a few months, he goes to Earth, deciding that he's actually strong enough to face everyone here. Unfortunately for him though, Earth has a pretty strong defense force. Goku and Vegeta are on Beerus' planet at the moment, and Tien's with the Kais. However, Kami, Gohan, and Chaozu are there, not to mention a stronger Yamcha and Krillin. This group fights off the entirety of Frieza's army, and it's actually pretty straightforward for them. Kami's been training and he does want to test out his power against Frieza, but it might not be enough here. Although for Gohan, that actually might be enough. He decides he'll be the one to take on Frieza, and if he truly is that strong, he's sure that things will turn out fine. He briefly fights against Frieza, who goes into his final form. And Frieza's definitely stronger than before, but of course, so is Gohan. Although Frieza is getting pretty annoyed because none of the people he actually wants to fight are here. I mean, besides Chaozu, of course. But he's not fighting Frieza directly, so he'll draw them out in whatever way he can. And despite Gohan's training, even though he could hold off Frieza for a little bit, he won't be able to beat Golden Frieza as is now. But thankfully someone teleports in to fight him instead. It's Tien. He was letting Gohan handle it alone because it looked like he had it, but he was ready to teleport in at any moment. And he'll take the fight on from here. He powers up into his ultimate form. Frieza really doesn't want to kill those two monkeys though, but fine. If he has to fight this guy first, whatever. The two begin clashing. Tien's actually surprised at how much Frieza's grown. He didn't expect him to be this strong. And Frieza's thinking the same thing. How did everyone get so strong over these past few years? Although even though it seems like they're keeping up with each other at first, Tien is still ahead of Frieza. Not to mention he's just a better warrior in general and has a wider array of techniques. Frieza's humiliated, and of course he tries to blow up the Earth, but he's not able to. Tien prevents it from happening. And he's on guard the entire time, so it's not like he's shot in the heart by a laser or something either. And as the fight goes on, Frieza loses more and more stamina too. So the gap just gets even wider. Tien is glad that he got this opportunity to test out his powers because it's the first real fight he's had after all his training. Sure, there was the one against Beerus, but that was like a year ago. Here it's an all-out battle with nothing held back, and it's a true deathmatch. Tien ends up killing Frieza, saving Earth. And even though Goku and Vegeta didn't arrive on the battlefield, at some point this was sensed on Beerus' planet. With how strong Golden Frieza is and how strong Ultimate Tien is, they could feel that power all the way out there. And they actually watched the fight go on Whis' staff. Beerus is actually pretty impressed. They don't know how strong Frieza truly grew, but based on what they sensed, it seemed like he was actually relative to where Goku and Vegeta were at the moment, which takes them by surprise because they didn't expect Frieza to be that strong. Beerus and Whis go back to Earth. They do need some more food after all, but it's not just because of that. Beerus is actually interested in taking Tien as another student under Whis. Given the great power he's displaying, and the fact that he could serve as a good motivator for Goku and Vegeta, it could be good to have him there on the planet with them. Plus, that wasn't even his full power. He could theoretically stack Kaioken on top of Ultimate as well, but he hasn't really tried that yet. So, his power goes even beyond this. So Tien is brought to Beerus' planet. He begins training with Goku and Vegeta and picks up Godly Ki for himself. He's stronger than both of them individually, but if they were to team up against him, they would beat him pretty quickly. They know this for a fact because they actually fight 2v1. So it looks like at the moment, Tien's the strongest mortal in the universe, just like it was before. Naturally, Champa would show up on Beerus' planet eventually, trying to get the Super Dragon Balls for himself. And the Tournament of Destroyers is set into motion. The team here is pretty straightforward. Of course, Goku, Vegeta, and Tien are on it, and Tien decides that maybe they should recruit Kami because of his new strength. They did want to get Gohan on the team, but he's busy at the moment, so they get Chaozu instead. Overall, they do have a pretty nice lineup regardless, with Universe 6's lineup of course being the same. Champa doesn't really know what to expect from them. The first fight is Goku versus Potamo, with Goku finding a way to win just like he did beforehand. Next up, Goku versus Frost. I feel like this fight would also go pretty much the same. Right now, Goku and Vegeta are pretty much at the same level where they were at in canon. They also did train at the time chamber for a bit before the tournament. Actually, all 5 of them went in there. Chaozu's work more on his time abilities, while Kami's just trying to become a stronger warrior in general. As for Goku, Vegeta, and Tien, it's pretty much just their standard training. But still, Frost Poison gets Goku. So the next fight is Kami versus Frost. Jaco's in the stands and actually does catch Frost Poison. But it doesn't really matter because the time he catches it, Kami already was able to defeat Frost, which is pretty impressive because he's grown a lot. That training in the time chamber, plus all those years of training after getting his youth back, it's definitely paying off. The next fight is Kami versus Magetta, and he doesn't actually figure out Magetta's weakness just yet. So, despite his strength, he's eliminated and Vegeta's the one up next. He does actually end up finding out Magetta's weakness, mainly thanks to Whis in the stands, so that fight pretty much goes like normal, and same for the fight afterwards, because he fights Kappa next. Things are going pretty well for Universe 7 so far. They've only lost 2 fighters, and now Universe 6 only has 1 left. Unfortunately for them, it's their strongest fighter, which is Hit. Vegeta briefly puts up a good fight against him, but it's not going to be enough. And they learn of his weird time abilities too, which is kind of perfect because the person who's up next is Chaozu. So Chaozu doesn't really have the power to contend against Hit, but he's interested to see the types of powers that he has. Physically, Chaozu is decently strong, but of course he's not the strongest in the group. However, where he really shines is his abilities. His telekinesis has been amped a ton by now. After copying what Goldo did, he's been branching out even further, so his telekinesis works on time as well. and he has some pretty similar techniques to Hit. This could be a good chance for him to study. He thinks he's definitely going to lose this fight, but he wants to stay in this fight as long as possible just to see what Hit's made of, and steal some of his moves too. Hit's actually pretty taken aback because Chaozu is able to work around all his time abilities. Of course, Hit is still way ahead of him in terms of strength, but his time abilities are pretty much useless against Chaozu. He's the perfect counter. And not to mention, Chaozu's telekinesis isn't just based on time abilities either. It's really good telekinesis as well. He even tries to paralyze Hit, which kinda works for a little bit, but Hit's able to break out of it. He's able to also throw out barriers around him to actually block Hit's attacks, trying to redirect them. And while he puts up a surprisingly good fight, he still ends up losing with Hit knocking him out of the ring. Pretty thrown off by the whole experience because he didn't expect anyone to actually counter that. And the final fight is Tien versus Hit. Chaozu gives him the whole rundown about Hit's ability, breaking down exactly how they work. It's actually pretty perfect because he did train with Chaozu a lot in the time chamber. Goku and Vegeta didn't really train with him too much, but Tien's going to benefit from this because he actually already fought someone who can control time. Not to mention, after watching the battle with Chaozu, now he actually sees what Hit's capable of. So he seems pretty prepared for this fight. He steps up and immediately jumps into Ultimate. Each fighter is the last fighter of their respective universe too, so this is a pretty important match. Goku probably would get reinstated, but technically this would be the last fight. Tien tries to work around Hit's moves, trying to predict what he's doing next, while also countering with attacks of his own. He basically pulls what Goku did, and he does have a few advantages here. He also does have his amazing vision and can pick up the slightest movements from Hit. There's also his training with Chaozu, and all the info he got from the previous fight with Chaozu and Hit. But just as important is the fact that he actually does overpower Hit. Ultimate Tien at the moment is stronger than him, so even with his weird abilities, Tien's able to get the victory here, and Universe 7 wins the entire thing, getting the Super Dragon Balls, with Beerus making the same wish as normal. It was pretty fun to see these strong fighters from another universe, and Zeno thought so too. He really wants to see them try this again. That was very fun to watch. And with that, we'll leave off here for now. What do you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.